Hi there, Nigel Saunders here of KW Bonsai. Even though it's repotting season right now, I'm not going to be repotting this tree. It was repotted last spring, and today I'm just going to be refining the tree. I'm going to be exposing the roots more and working on the upper structure of the tree. Let's start with the roots. You can see there's some moss growing up the trunk. We don't want that. I want the same texture on the root base as I have on the trunk of the tree, which in this case the tree has a lot of lichen on it, and normally I brush that off, but I think I'm going to keep it on this tree. I'm trying to grow this tree to look really rugged and gnarly and bumpy, and I think the lichen adds to that, at least on the trunk anyway. I'll keep it off the branches, but at least on the trunk. So I'm going to pick all this moss off the root base, and my idea is to expose the roots more so we get some surface roots showing on the surface. And how I'll do that is I'll lift the tree out of the pot, and then I'll put another layer of soil underneath the existing roots and put the tree back in the pot, so it'll lift the tree up higher, and then I can rake away some of the surface soil to expose the roots. Because I think we want to start showing those roots, make the tree look even more rugged and planted. I'm going to get rid of all this moss. I just don't want it growing up the trunk at all. And I may not even want moss growing around the base of this tree. It might add to the rugged look if I have a different type of ground covering. So maybe stones or sand or rocks, who knows. You can see the way the moss holds the moisture around the bark, and it will rot away your bark at the base of your tree. So it's important to always clean the moss away from the base of your tree. Otherwise you can get like an undercut. If the bark rots away, you'll have the nice bark up top, and then it'll be undercut where the bark's rotted away, the outer layer of bark. This tree has a little bit of an undercut here, but it's not from the bark, it's just the way it grew. I've got as much moss picked off as I can, so I'm just going to come in with the toothbrush now and try and get more of it off. It's just hard to pick off. It's really in with the bark. That seems to be working quite well. The next step will be trying lifting the whole tree and root system out of the pot. Here I go. Let's see what this is going to be like. There we go. Came out as one unit. That's good. I'll take the drainage screens off the bottom here, and I'll put them back in the pot. I've got the pot all cleaned up, drainage screens in, so I'm going to add a layer of soil to the bottom. This will raise the tree in the pot a little higher to expose the root base. I'm just going to try a little bit higher here. I think that should be good. Let's try it out. I'll try the tree in the pot and see how high it sits. So let's just put it right back in. Settle it down. That's looking pretty good, I think. It'll allow me to remove a layer of soil on the top and expose the roots. So I'm just going to get the tree settled in here. Make sure it's nice and snug in the new soil. I think that's pretty good. I'm going to rake away some of the soil on the surface here. Generally when I repot, I always have the soil higher so the roots are safely in the soil, and then I'll slowly expose them later on. I'll have to look around for a better pot for this tree too someday. I know I have some that are more suitable that other trees are using, so I might have to do some trading of pots in future. Because this pot does not suit this tree at all. It needs a dark brown unglazed pot, ideally. Probably a rectangular one or a shallow oval one. I think a rectangular would look better, in keeping with the rugged theme. Originally, when I styled this tree, this was the back of the tree, and I'm still not sure which I like better as the front. If I turn it around, the front is a little cleaner and maybe more elegant. Okay, I'm going to give the tree a water now and just wash the soil off the roots. So here's the surface roots now cleaned up. We're a little high here, but not too bad. We've got one root sticking up a bit here. We can tuck that in. This root's okay here. They're all right here. This side they're all fine too. We could do tuck this root in a bit, but not too bad. They all seem to taper down nicely into the soil. So that's the root base. So I'm going to do some cleanup. I'm going to prune off some of these longer roots that are sticking out of the soil and over the pot. There's the root base on the tree all cleaned up. It'll go a little lighter when it dries, but yeah, it's looking pretty good. It looks pretty natural and rugged. I like it. I even like this root coming down the front. It's looking good. I've got some problems with the tree. I've got a thin section in the middle of the tree here. So it goes kind of, it tapers to the top. Then I got a thin section, and then there's kind of a bulge at the top. So it's just a lot of vigor in the top of the tree, and it's causing it to swell at the top here. So I'm going to have to fix all that. I'm going to start with this branch here, and I'm going to remove anything growing upwards. So I'm going to remove this branch here. I'm going to remove this branch here. There's a stub here I can clean up. Looks good. There's a dead tip here I can remove. I've got a branch growing in here that I don't really like. It's going in between the fork of the branches here, so I'm going to remove that. I'm just going to clean up this area. Clean up this tip here. I'm going to cut this branch back to here, and this one back to here. Clean the tip off this one. And I'm going to clean the branch coming off here. And one growing from underneath here. And that cleans up the structure of this branch nicely. The next branch in the tree has one layer down here, another layer here, and another layer here. And it gives a lot of kind of steps to the branch, but I don't think it looks that great. If this one was bent down here, it might look better. But I don't know, I'm not a big fan of two branches coming out from the one spot almost here. They are separate branches. It comes out as one branch and divides to two, but it divides fairly soon. And I think it would look better without this section here. It's just doing nothing for the tree. So I think I will remove it, just for that reason. That I don't like a short stubby branch dividing into two that early on. It's not characteristic of a larch. Larch usually have a long branch and it divides further out from the tree. So I'm going to remove that. So here I go. I'm just going to take a rough cut first. get rid of the branches in the way, and then I'm going to come in and smooth the cutout. Just like that. For the rest of the branch, I'm going to clean the structure up, shortening it here. I'm going to remove anything facing upwards. I'm going to shorten this branch back to here. This one back to here. It's always easier to grow your branches longer than to have to come in and shorten them. So I'm keeping them short for now. I can always grow them longer if I want them longer. That's easy to do. I'm going to shorten this one right back to here also. And this one, I'll leave that. This one to here. My third branch here is going to need a little cleanup too. So I'm going to remove this little shoot growing from under here. I'm going to remove some top growth here. I'm going to cut this branch back here. I'm going to remove a dead piece here. I'm going to cut this branch back to here. And remove a bit of dead bit here. And that's got that branch cleaned up. So now I can start moving up to the upper structure here. So I'll tackle this branch. This branch crosses the main trunk when you're looking from the front view. And I don't mind that in trees, but there's a significant part of the branch that crosses. So I want to shorten that up. So I'm going to shorten it to here, back to here. I'm going to remove this upwards growth off. Like that. There's some upward growth here I can remove. And clean this branch up a bit. Like that. I can remove this shoot sticking up here. I can cut this back to here. There's a dead branch on it I can remove. There's a little shoot here, I can prune the top off of it. There's some upward growth here I can remove. And cut back this one. Get rid of it entirely, in fact. Like that. And there's some upward growth here I can remove. And a branch here I can remove from the top. And in fact, I'm going to remove this whole section here. And this tip here. There, that looks better. So there's that branch cleaned up. It's a little less significant now at the front here. So let's keep going up. Let's tackle some of this upper canopy next. So I'm going to start by shortening some branches back up here. I've got to take vigor out of the top of the tree, which means I got to prune it quite hard at the top so this bulge doesn't get even worse. This is my apex here, so I definitely want that coming forward. I don't want this branch here, it's coming forward. I don't want this vertical growth here. I'll get rid of that. I don't mind if the branches angle upward in the canopy, but I don't want them shooting straight vertical. I'm going to reduce this one back to here. I'm going to prune this part of this branch off. I'm going to clip the tip back on the branch. And same with this one. We don't want to get our apex getting too powerful. I'm going to prune back a lot of this growth as short as I can on the apex. I got some growth coming underneath here I can clean up. There's a bud in here I can get rid of. I'm going to get rid of this upward growth here. Get rid of this tip here. This branch off to this side is quite a significant branch. It's pretty heavy duty. It's as thick as, you know, some of my lower branches. So I think I'm going to have to remove that. And, you know, I've got this one here that can grow in its place. So I've got to get rid of that. It's just getting too much vigor, and it'll contribute to the thickening at the top of the tree. Yeah, so I got a good angle here. I can cut the whole thing off right in one blow. So here we go. That's gone. So that was a fairly thick branch. I'll try growing it as a cutting also. I'll prune this one back. I'm going to prune this branch back. I'm going to shorten this branch a bit too. It's getting a little long. It's as long as the ones underneath it. So I'm going to take the tip off there. I'm going to shorten some of these. I'm looking at the tree from the front view now. You can see that bulge at the top a bit. I don't know if there's a lot I can do about it. I could take a big chunk out of one side of it and the scar would roll over and probably heal. I may do that. I'll continue cleaning up the apex here. Get rid of that. Actually, I'm going to get rid of this lower branch here. That. This one back. Shorten that one. Shorten this one. Shorten this one. I think I've got the apex as simplified as I can get it right now. I do want to remove some lichen in this area. It's getting a little thick up top on the tree here. So I want to keep that under control. I don't want to remove it all, but I want to get it off so you can see a bit of the bark texture. That way it matches the rest of the trunk a bit more. There's an overall view of the tree now. All the work's done on it. I still have that bulge at the very top apex there. I'll see how it grows this year. See if that, you know, it thickens up below a little more. Because I cleaned the apex right up, it shouldn't thicken up any more at the top. So it may start to blend in over the years. If not, then I'll have to do some carving work, carve out a section of it and have it heal over. But for now, I'll leave it. With all the work done to our larch tree now, it's time for today's update. Today's update is my Sarissa tree. It's styled to look like an African acacia tree. And in the last video I repotted it, and it survived the repotting quite nicely. One of the purposes of repotting was to expose the roots a little bit. They were always kind of in the soil. So I potted the tree a little higher this time, so we can rake away some of the surface soil and get kind of down to the root base. You can see all the fine roots growing in there. I'm just raking away some of this surface soil. I can smell the roots. Let's take away our zebra and our rocks. I'll have to reposition those eventually. Okay, I'm going to give the tree a water. This will stop any surface roots drying out. And the soil looked a little too dry also. I'm going to give the tree a prune. I repositioned the tree slightly in the pot, so I've got a little too heavy a growth on this side, so I'm going to prune that back. Just doing a top view profile prune, like that, and a bit off of here. And that's got my oval shape from the top view now. Next, I'll give the tree a haircut from the front view. So pruning off all this excessively long growth. If I let these top shoots grow too long, it'll shade out some of my finer branching and I'll start getting dieback. So I've got to keep the light going to all parts of the canopy. And I use these long scissors for this. They work really well. Just like using head shears. I've got the sarissa all cleaned up and it's ready to go back in the plant room. So now it's time for today's viewers' picks. Today's viewers' picks are from Abhishek. He has a small balcony that he has a little garden on, and he's growing some trees. That's all the work on this video. So Nigel Saunders of KW Bonsai, thanks for watching, and we'll see you on the next one.